Okay, well, this week we're going to look at beginning DAW stuff again. We're going to kind of concentrate. It'll be short because we've done a lot of this last week. We're going to look at the channel strip in some detail. And again, we're using Ardour, but the things we're doing are common to all DAWs. We're not going to go into any Ardour specific things. Anything you can do here that I show you can be done on any DAW at all. So with that being said, let's get started. Okay, well, let's get started. This time we're going to look at the mixer strip in a little more detail, and I want to remind you that everything in here is, we're using Ardour, but everything we're going to go through in this basic series is not exclusive to Ardour. Pretty much any DAW you get on is going to have these same functions. We're going to save the Ardour specific things for other videos, ones we've already done, etc., etc., etc. So anyway, just to reiterate from last week, this is a mixer strip, and pretty much analogous to a mixer strip on any mixer you'd see at a live show or a recording studio, or maybe at your house on your rack. This is kind of like the tape deck. Here's the individual track of sounds, and so, like I said, this time we're going to look specifically at this mixer strip. So to start with, notice that it's got a name, and you can rename it as you would imagine. This is important. This is what's hooked in from the outside, and if you look right now, when you hear my voice, you don't hear it. Notice the active track here is called voice. You don't hear my voice on that track because nothing's highlighted here. There, I can select it. Now you'll notice you can hear my voice. But in general, if you're not recording, keep this thing off. Anything that you do this way, it's going to add noise into the system. There's no point in it. So if you're not actively recording, make sure that your inputs are off for this. Okay, coming down here, we've got left and right channel. We can invert phase, and if you don't know what that is, I encourage you sometime just get a microphone, record something, record a stereo something, click phase, and then just try listening back with this in and out. That'll be more than anybody can ever tell you with reading or anything else. Just try the experiment. It'll all be immediately obvious to you. So anyway, coming down here, this is probably the place where you're going to work most on the strip. If I right click in here, I can add plugins, inserts, and sends. And I'm not going to go too much into detail on the inserts and sends because we have a video on inserts and sends and buses in Ardour in particular, and I hope that it will answer any detailed questions you have. But plugins, that's probably where you're going to do a lot. Most DAWs will rely on third-party plugins. You can buy them, you can get them free. In Linux, there's a ton of them that you can download, and when you originally install your DAW, it's going to go find all those plugins that are on your system. So if I look here, lots and lots of plugins here, all kinds of things. So if I right click up here, that puts the plugin before the fader. So if I was to move the fader back and forth, it wouldn't have any effect on a plugin that's right clicked and inserted up here. In fact, let's do that just so you can see how that works. And it doesn't, a fractionally addressed delay line. Well, let's put that one in there. I have no idea what a fractionally addressed delay line is. And then down here, put in something else. Let's put in a phaser. Now, as I move this slider, the gain, the volume, the output from this track is going to be affected by the slider into the phaser, but it's not into the fractionally addressed delay line. What the hell is a fractionally addressed delay line? Anyway, so it's important that when you're loading these plugins, and I'll right click and get rid of that one, and right click and get rid of that one. It's important when you put these plugins in that you make a good choice about, do I want this fader to control the input to the plugin? If you don't, put it up here. If you do, out here. Like certainly a limiter would go after fader, because you want anything you're doing with a fader to control what's going into the limiter, so it knows if it needs the limit. Other things might well go in up here. Maybe some type of distortion. You don't want, you still want that crunchy sound and a distortion before you hit the fader. So you got to make good choices. Here, right and left balance here I've got a stereo track, but if I was on a mono track, to move that to right or left or where it's coming from. Here's the recording controls that are pretty much analogous to this. See, record, see how they both come on. If I mute them, they both come on. This fader is the same as this fader. And this is a little bit on automation, and I've done a whole video on automation back in season 1, and you should look at it. It is one of the coolest, most handy things that you can do in a digital audio workstation, is control almost anything about this track with automation, and well worthy of your time. Lastly, well, what is this meter strip looking at? Most of the time you're going to have it in post. But it's there to set pre, post, whatever, if you need it. Again, and here's where it's coming out. Way up here, where it's coming in. Down here, what this is going out to. And as you can see, as I talk, the fader here is on conga, and it's going out to master. So almost all these will go out to master unless you're doing something with buses and sends and that kind of thing. And so pretty much that's it. This matches a mixer strip in a mixer like a Mackie or something like that, in software, and it's gonna do the things that mixer does, albeit with a little more muscle, a lot more options. Automation, like I said, is one thing. We'll get into that a little bit more when we look at the tracks, and like I said, there's a whole video on automation. Same with insert sends and buses. And lastly, I just want to say once again that all this stuff is common to all digital audio workstations, so it doesn't matter what digital audio workstation you're working on. Bring it up, play with the mixer strips. They've all got them. Find out, where do I hook my inputs? What is phase doing or not doing for me? Yeah, notice now that I've clicked conga track, it's a mono, and I can decide if it's in the right or left channel. You'll have balance on those. You'll be able to put in plugins, anything you want. So this week's pretty short. Just wanted to kind of reinforce some of the stuff with a mixer strip, and then next week we'll go look at some pretty common DAW operations on tracks, cutting them, duplicating them, whatever that would be. So that's it for this week. Bring up your DAW, figure out where all this stuff is. How do I bring in different inputs? How do I bring in different outputs? Where do I plug in automations, plugins, and those kind of things? And otherwise, I'll see you next week. Okay, well, I hope that was useful to you. Next week we're going to do some of the track stuff. Just again, a real quick brief fast blast through the tracks and what's going on with that. But again, let me make the same 2 points I make. You can't do this just listening to me. Roll up your sleeves, bring up your DAW, give it a try. If you don't have a DAW, well, try harder, because it's free, it's easy to get, and there's a lot of videos on it. Secondly, if you have questions, concerns, thoughts, other things you'd like to see, email me, leave a comment on the Google Plus page or the YouTube page, whatever it be. I'm open to suggestions. So that's it for this week, and otherwise I'll see you next time.